أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المنتجبين. To continue with our ahkam for the fasting, we have said that there are 10 things that nullify the fasting, and we listed them last night. Now, what about someone in the middle of fasting, he brings one of those 10 things? There are different scenarios, different possibilities. 3 different possibilities. The first possibility, that nothing happens, as if he did not do anything wrong. The second one, his fasting became nullified, meaning after Ramadan he needs to make up one day, but there is no penalty, there is no kafara for it. And the third possibility, that both the fasting is nullified, he not only has to make up for that day, he also has to take care of the penalty, and we will be talking about the penalties. Now, how does that work? Please pay attention, especially the sisters, after your salawat.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Number 1, if someone forgetfulness, absent-minded, he completely forgot that today, is Ramadan, or any other day. He was fasting, he made the intention before the night before, but in the morning he forgot. He stopped by Tim Horton and took a cup of coffee, for example, and he completely forgot about it. As he drank, let's say almost to finish the cup, at that time he realized that he was fasting. In the hadith, it says, this is rizqun saqahu Allahu ilayhi. This is a sustenance from Allah has given him, and as we say, bil-afiyah, it is, bon appetit. Is that what they say? But once he realized, he has to stop. If there is a food in his mouth, he has to take it out, to spit it out, and clean his mouth. This is how to be. When something done by forgetfulness, any of those taking place, being for absent-minded, that thing is considered to be nothing. The fasting is good, except there is one of those 10 things, and that to stay on janaba or hayd or nifas. If, let's say, the person forgot that he was junub, and he slept and doesn't know. Tomorrow he realized that he had to take the ghusl. His fasting is nullified, but there is no kafara, meaning that he has to keep the fasting, does not break it. After Ramadan, he will substitute it with one day only, and that's it. That's the only exception in forgetfulness, if someone forgets. Number 2, if someone that, the one that the fasting is nullified, but the kafara does not take place, meaning there is no penalty. Only he has to repeat that fasting. That's when someone is ignorant. He doesn't know, for example, deliberate vomiting causes, nullifying of the fasting, meaning he doesn't know the hukm. He has not studied the Risala, doesn't know. He's fasting, but he doesn't know that those 10 things are applicable to break the fasting. By mistake, for example, he immersed his head in the water, not knowing that immersion of head in the water will cause his fasting to be nullified. In that case, his fasting is nullified, meaning after Ramadan he has to repeat it, but there is no penalty. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will forgive. Although there is a general rule. You know, in Arabic we say that Al-Qanun la yahmil mughaffirin. For example, here you are driving, you don't know, for example, buckling up is mandatory. You came from Iraq, for example. You have no idea. You were driving, all of a sudden the police stops you and tells you why you did not buckle up. For no reason, you don't know. You tell him, I don't know. Will he listen to you and say, okay, sorry, next time we'll give you? No, he will issue you the ticket to tell you this should stay as a lesson for you. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgives. Says, in case you don't know, although your duty is to go and study and read, but this time we will forgive you. But you have to repeat only the fasting itself. So, that is when someone does not know. Number 3, which is the fasting becomes nullified, meaning he has or she has to repeat the fasting, plus there is penalty. The penalty also has to be done. That is the third possibility. That's when someone knowingly and deliberately does that, that things that nullifies his fasting. There is an exception to this. When someone is coerced, meaning someone forces you, threatens you to tell you, if you do not eat today, then I will be killing you or I will be hurting you. At that time, you break your fasting. If you break your fasting, you're going to make up, one day later after Ramadan. That's what happened to Imam Al-Sadiq alayhi salam. One day, Mansur Al-Tawaniqi, invited him for the Eid. He had to go and, salute the king. Remember, from that time, the government used to make, the Eid or the first of Ramadan one day ahead of the rest of people. Why? So they can declare leadership for themselves. To say that we are the leaders of Muslims. Even today, you see Saudi Arabia, they see the moon 20 days before Ramadan starts. They know that day will be their first of Ramadan. Why? For what reason? For a very shallow reason, is that they declare themselves that they are the leaders of the Muslim world, not for any other reason. From that time, Al-Rasoul used to do the same thing. So, he declared the Eid where there was not a Eid for the Imam alayhi salam. Eid was the day after. But he had to go anyway to congratulate the king. When he goes there, Mansur gives him food, he eats the food. When he comes back, they tell him, Ya Rasulullah, today you don't have Eid, how did you break your fasting? The Imam responds, لَأَنْ أَفْطَرَ يَوْمًا مِنْ شَهْرِ رَمَضَانَ فَأَقْضِي خَيْرٌ مِنْ أَنْ تُضْرَبَ عُنُقِي. If I have not eaten, that means a challenge to this ruthless ruler. This guy is a despot, a dictator. He doesn't care, he would kill me. Here I have saved my life. So in that case, you break the fasting, but you will make it up in other day. Another possibility. Let's say someone by force, not by coercion, rather by force, he breaks the fasting. He's passing by a pool, and all of a sudden, his leg, his feet slips, and he, gets thrown in the pool, and his head gets immersed in the water. To that, nothing will happen, as if nothing has happened. His fasting is correct, and he will continue with the fasting. This is number 1. Number 2 issue, we talked about the dawn and Maghrib. What time is dawn, what time is Maghrib? Now, it is mandatory for everyone to search and find out what is the exact time for dawn and Maghrib. Let's say someone has searched, but still we're in doubt. He doesn't know that the dawn is 3:50, 3:55, 4:05. What does he do? As long as he is in doubt, provided that he has searched to find out what is the exact time and he did not find, as long as he is in doubt, he can eat and drink until he makes sure that it is, the dawn has started. On the other side, when it gets to Maghrib, he doesn't know what time is Maghrib. He cannot eat and drink, stay fasting until he's completely sure that it is Maghrib. You see, there is a principle. I briefly tell you this principle. In fact, it's called the principle of istishab, meaning that you consider the state that you are in still valid until it is proven otherwise. Meaning now it's night. We don't know what time is done. You will consider it night until it's proven otherwise, that the day has started. The same thing with Maghrib. You consider it's a day until it's proven otherwise. At that time, you break the fasting. The same thing with fasting of Sha'ban, the last day of Sha'ban. Why do we make the intention for the last day of Sha'ban when we fast? We don't know today is Sha'ban or Ramadan. Because yesterday was out of Sha'ban. It was from Sha'ban. We will consider the existing state continues until it's proven otherwise. So, this is number 2. And number 3, many brothers and sisters have asked me about the penalty, the kafara. And there is a confusion between those two. We have a penalty, kafara, and the other thing is called fidya. What is the difference between fidya and kafara? Kafara means a penalty. God wants to punish. If someone breaks the fasting, there are 3 types of kafara. Either fasting 60 continuous days for 2 months, you will be fasting, or you will free one slave, which at this time it is not valid because there is no such a thing that, there is no slave that you will free, or you feed up to 60 of poor. Someone who, legally and by the community is known as a poor, you need to feed them 60 of them. This is called a penalty, kafara. Kafara, you see the word kafar from kufr, meaning that it has to swipe what mistake he has done. This is one thing. The other thing is called fidya. Fidya, what does it mean? Fidya is a simple thing. It's not that much. For someone who breaks the fasting during the month for a valid reason, he's sick or traveling. He was traveling, he could not, do the fasting. Now for the entire year, he has the room to do the fasting. To say he could not, he didn't have time. At that time, until next Ramadan, if he could not, then he pays this tiny little service charge. It's called fidya. Now how much is the fidya? Fidya is 3/4 of a kilo. 3/4 of a kilo of dates, rice, wheat, some ulama say meat. This is the unit that you need to pay. For every single day you pay 1 unit of that. Now some of the ulama say, just to be cautious, make it twice, meaning multiply it by 2. Instead of 3/4 quarter of a kilo, make it 1.5 kilo. For every day that you did not do the fasting. For the penalty, if someone needs to pay the poor, he has to multiply that 1.5 by 60 times, meaning 90 kilo. For every single day, you pay for every day. Yes, for every day. Since it is 60, you will multiply it by 60, 90 kilo. You pay 90 kilo for one single day that the person has broken his fasting without a valid reason. Is this clear now between fidya and kafara? Is it clear, inshallah? I will ask you tomorrow, inshallah. Don't forget. Okay, صلوا على محمد وآل محمد.